Hello and welcome to this week's episode of whatever that heck we're doing now. I don't know. I don't know what this is, but this is.
I thought we were a talk show now.
Is a talk show? Why do I look like this?
What do you mean? You're like more in the corner than usual.
Why do I look like this?
I don't know. I'm looking good right now. I shaved. I thought I did my. Damn, I'm blurry as area.
It's weird having natural light seep into.
Why are you here?
Hey, look it.
We're in the podcast.
Oh, now I'm in the podcast. Nice.
Why are you here?
I don't know.
Get the hell out.
That's fucked up.
Dang.
It's messed up, man.
Hey,
I'm recording.
Did he download any of the games I told him to download?
He downloaded fucking everything.
Good. That's exactly what I told him to download.
For like $55.99, you know what I mean?
The Steam Deck.
Ooh. Is it actually cheaper?
It's $5.50.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty comp, I'm not gonna lie. Play every game. It's pretty much a PC in your hands.
Okay.
But I didn't say that for legal purposes.
For legal reasons, that was a joke.
You'll never catch me dead with the Steam Deck.
I know that. I won't lie. It is pretty comp. You can basically virtually play anything. It's actually fucking kind of nuts. But that's not the point.
You'll never catch me dead with a Steam Deck. I'll say it once, I'll say it again.
Why not?
I don't want it.
Like, fair enough, I guess. But like, just like you didn't want a PC, you still ended up getting one.
Well, I mean, I didn't want a gaming PC. I got a work PC.
Fair enough.
It's
So,
to work.
What are the segments for today? Because I do want to talk about the news.
Well, we got news as per usual, and I don't really have a game for us to play today, but I do have I think we will set up a segment that we've been kind of doing on the channel, but I think I want to go in detail as to what it means. That'll make sense later. Why am my camera looks something's wrong.
No, you look about as me in quality.
It works then, I guess. So, news. What do you got for news?
So, I'm going to be a little bit of Hank Green today and say what actually is going on. So, recently this week of the second week of April, we became deities. We created our own species. So if nobody knows, the quotations here, the dire wolf was brought back from extinction. So for anybody that doesn't know, the dire wolf is a species of wolf that lived up until 10,000 years ago. If you don't know why they have gone extinct, right? Answer us. We outmeted them. We showed that our pack hunting was better than their pack hunting, and they went extinct. Note: wolves have not gone extinct. Group hunting is still
was
the meta.
Was it us per se, or was it just the environment was no longer suited to them?
Combination of both. Most of the reason why the megafauna died is because we were too fucking good at what we did. Mm-hmm. We ate everything, right? And then nobody except for the continent of Africa till this day was ready for us. An elephant knows how to deal with us naturally. A dire wolf in North America does not. And I think there were some in Europe, but they also got out hunted as well. So the research team known as Colossal has made the dire wolf come back using genetic splicing and so on and so forth. However, the actual that's cool news, right? Like, oh my god, we fucking brought back an extinct animal. Well, shocker. Oh, hold on, I'm focusing. We didn't bring it back, actually. So the argument is, Colossal did some pretty crazy work. Not trying to diminish what they did, but they were able to bring certain like genomes and things into gray wolf DNA to kind of reactivate them, which is crazy, by the way. Actually insane we were able to do that. So like they can kind of label it as it's a dire wolf. It's not really. And it's cool and all, and the science community for the past week has been like debating about it for like a while now, and I think the common, like, at least current consensus right now is it's more of a hybrid than anything. However, Alex take, Caleb and Post, Alex take, it's not a direwolf.
Mm-hmm.
However, at 5 months old, it is 80 pounds.
That's crazy. It weighs more than Aura.
The biggest dog known to us is a Great Dane. It is 110. If it doubles its weight and size in roughly about a year, they will weigh approximately 190 pounds. Caleb, do you know what this means?
What does it mean?
We made Arkveld. We have reintroduced a niche into the environment. Now, I don't see a lot of people saying what it actually is. Like the whole purpose why Colossal wanted to do this was to make a creature and put it back into the environment so it can solve, environmental problems. However, I think everybody's forgetting in hindsight what the hell we just did. It might not be a direwolf, but we made an animal. We made an animal. That's one thing. I'll get into that. We made an animal and we're able to refit in the niche.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is one of the best apex predators in the last, 100,000 years, couple million years. And we just brought it back. Even if it's a synthetic hybrid, which is still insane, by the way, that we made synthetic predators, right? This thing has never existed before. It's not like a liger or a growler bear where it can kind of naturally exist. This can't. This is completely synthetic.
Mm.
It is insane. I genuinely do believe, in my opinion, we have just taken our first steps into deityhood. We have made a creature.
Well, what not a lot of people are really talking about when it comes to this is actually like how Jurassic Park starts.
Yeah.
Like, literally the entire point of those movies and the books is that those dinosaurs are not the dinosaurs come back to life. Is that they literally created a completely different organism that is unnatural to this world.
Yeah.
And will cause immense damage, or could cause immense damage to the ecosystem that it is introduced into.
To be fair, though, there is a little bit of inaccuracies with dinosaurs because there's not enough oxygen in the air to support them. But
well, that's why they could never make the dinosaurs. That's why they are genetic freaks. They just made what everyone assumes a dinosaur looked like. They didn't make dinosaurs in those movies. They made
freaks,
lab freaks.
Yeah. But even with these wolves too, I don't think anybody has to feel like any what's the movie where they all escape the island and they're all terrorizing the world? Jurassic World, or what is it?
It's one of the Jurassic Worlds.
That couldn't happen because these dire wolves wouldn't. These things can only exist in captivity because there's no way they'd be able to feed their body weight. They would eat themselves to death because they'd kill everything in the environment. Unless they hunted solo, but that'd be crazy.
Essentially, the wolf would probably be, out of all of them, these wolves are probably not anything to be concerned about if they were to ever escape, because they're limited to dog things. But if you were to say bring back something that wasn't as limited to what it could do, we might have a little bit of problems with the ecosystem.
Yeah, I guess technically there has been other things earlier in this year where there have been human babies who were tweaked a little bit, where they can't get AIDS or a high proficiency of not getting AIDS. That happened. That was super controversial. But there's been a lot of genome
they figured it out, I guess.
Oh yeah, it's kind of crazy. I won't lie, I kind of went into a conspiracy spiral the other day because I was all so we can make synthetic species. That's what it is. It's not a direwolf. It's mostly gray wolf, but it has qualities that make it far and above. I can guarantee you in a year from now, when these things are like fully grown, there's going to be like test pictures of it to really like show the size comparison. And like these things are going to be bigger than a Great Dane, nearly 190 pounds of pure muscle, nearly. So it's like, it's going to be crazy. But like, it really starts to delve into like the fact that we are probably in our lifetime, we're going to see genetic. Well, I guess we technically have seen it already, but like more perfect genetically enhanced humans, which is insane. Like straight up, the Astartes from Warhammer are not unlikely to happen. Spartans are very likely to happen. Like we're right on the precipice of this shit. Like the reason why we haven't probably seen a lot of advancement is because Obama put in those limitations for like genetic research and stuff like that way back in the day, which is weird that that happened. But it's insane. Fucking the world is crazy, bro. And I'm over here struggling with YouTube. And now but like the world's fucking making monsters, like Frankenstein style.
I mean, who's to say what the next thing they decide to make? Like, I guess it comes down to the ethics of the organization who are creating them, which I think what it sounds like is Colossal seems like they're pretty ethical in their practices. Yeah. And they're more focused on bringing back like extinct species that like could have been saved.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have to worry about that.
I'm still I won't lie. We got wolves. I don't think we're that far away from seeing not a woolly mammoth per se,
but it'll look like a mammoth. And they did have that breakthrough with the mice, the woolly mice. Yeah. So we are on that track. But I think we're going to see more stuff of like a synthetic dodo bird come back. Or like a Tasmanian tiger. Yeah. Or stuff like that. Stuff that was highly preventable through human action that we just didn't care to take precautions with. And I'm hoping out of all of this, the one thing that they bring back that I hope for is the kawaii oo. That's one that deserves to come back. That's the bird that has the notorious saddest song in the world.
Oh yeah. No, damn, now I got sad.
Like, think of the possibility though that song could potentially no longer be the final song of the kawaii oo.
Well, now we get into a little bit of more kind of a Ship of Theseus kind of argument where it's like, because it's synthetic, will it actually end up playing the exact same song, or
That's
will
a
it
good
be
question.
a remix?
That's a good question.
That would be a crazy headline. The Last Dead song now has a remix. That
would be an interesting development.
I do have to spin it another way too. Does this mean technically no animals no longer truly extinct by proxy?
I guess in a sense.
Couldn't you now just use a surrogate female tiger and then just start mass producing like tigers? Like, couldn't, I guess. Right? I don't know the whole science, but couldn't you be able to do that?
I think so.
There's gonna be a lot of virgin Mary tigers just walking around.
That's crazy to think about. But yeah, I mean, depending on how they do it, I'm pretty sure they essentially could make it so no species can go extinct anymore. But that also, like you said,
no species in the last 10,000 years.
That does bring still the Ship of Theseus argument because, especially with stuff like polar bears who are already naturally like adapting to change with the environment, that you start to be like, it's no longer that same species that we're trying to save. We've created something completely different now. Like the growler bears are a completely different species than both the polar bear and
Can a
the
growler bear
grizzly bear.
breed with a growler bear?
I'm
Or
pretty
how does that
sure
work?
that's genetically.
Can it?
They should be genetically the same. If a polar bear and a grizzly bear can breed, I'm pretty sure 2 growler bears can breed.
It's weird because it's like with ligers, it's weird. Mules can't breed, and then what's the other one? Ligers can't breed, and then the reverse of that, where it's a male tiger and lioness, their offspring can't breed. Mules can't breed, and the reverse of that one too. It's weird. Some hybrids can breed, some can't. It's funky.
It's so weird.
But yeah, but I would think a growler bear would. I don't know.
But
would have to see.
yeah, we're definitely entering some crazy territory with that kind of stuff because it kind of opens the doors for potentially some big changes to the ecosystem, depending on what they bring back and or accidentally release into the wild.
Yeah, because you can end up making. It almost would have I forgot what invasive Japanese plant that is destroying the South. I forgot what it's called. Like if you accidentally release like I'm just gonna call them what they are, like synthetic dire wolves or maybe like synthetic gray wolves back into the environment, like what's gonna take them down? Because they're 190 pounds of wolf.
Yeah,
that's huge.
And I mean
that's a grown that's a grown woman.
And I mean say you don't get the genetics quite right and they have some sort of defect where it's like Arkville, the Guardians, or the Indominus
Monster
Rex
Hunter became relevant
where the Indominus Rex, where like it just starts killing not to satisfy its instinctual hunger, but just because it feels like it.
Good.
Like that's something I don't think that's gonna happen with the dire wolves because it seems like they're monitoring those very closely. But there are already unintended effects that they didn't consider to be possible. That the wolves were already like growing distant to the humans who took care of them.
I didn't read that. That's crazy.
That's what I heard. Is that they like don't feel the need to interact with their human caretakers.
I won't lie, bro. That's actually kind of fucking scary.
It is a little bit because most species of animals, I think even wolves that we know today, do grow a bond to their human caretakers.
Maybe it's because because I think it would be learning habits. Maybe this is just an idea I'm throwing out. Don't even know if it's true, right? What if, because some animals that come into zoos have a long lineage, like we'll just say for gorillas, for example, right? A gorilla came from the wild into a zoo, and then like their family members did that, right? So over time, because of like species bond, they've realized this place is nice. There's no struggle here. But the dire wolves have never, or synthetic dire wolf, or synthetic gray wolves have never had that. They're just here. So they don't, it's almost like a spoiled child when they get rid of everything. They don't know what like actual poverty is. So they're just like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care who you are. I'm here. I'm big and bold. I'm reacting to I am the product of my DNA. Kind of almost like that is how I would think it would play out. But that's kind of scary. Not to mention, we can get both male and female pretty accurate here, because we got Romulus and Remus, and then like whatever fucking Game of Thrones name they chose. That stuff is so stupid. I don't care about Game of Thrones and the whole like we have to name it after the house whatever's compatriots or whatever from George R. R. Martin. George needs to fucking finish his last book.
Hold on, Alex. You have to remember they are nerds.
God, they choose the worst fucking franchise to stand. They could have chosen anything.
They are
else.
nerds.
They could have named it Padme. Fucking something like badass.
They could have named it Bimbus.
Romulus and Remus is perfect. little bit of Roman in there. I think it works pretty well because it also goes back into their to the myth of Rome, the birth of Rome, how Romulus and Remus were raised by a wolf when they weren't. But that's the origin of Rome. So it's kind of cool.
Interesting.
So in a sense, like paralleling that, you can use this for your YouTube essay if somebody wants to. The synthetic gray wolf is now our pup, as the mother of the wolves fed Romulus and Remus.
And now they're
one giant circle.
Now they're rejecting our love.
They're teenagers.
They are teenage wolves. Ugh! Why you always gotta be next to me, doctor? Ugh! Get out of my room.
It's gonna be crazy, bro. Like, imagine if they try to bring back not a saber-toothed tiger, but they do try to at least like mess with the DNA, and like we get like a synthetic Bengal tiger with like saber-toothed tiger parts with it. I don't know what is it closely related to cougars or more lions? I don't remember.
I think it is like mountain lions.
Yeah, or something like that. Bro, that would be crazy. It'd be nuts.
Yeah, it's a little concerning, but like I said, the company that is doing this does seem reputable. So I think this is in the right hands. But now that the technology or would it be technology, or is now that the science is known that it's possible, there will be copycats who might not be as reputable.
I can guarantee you, like I said, in our lifetime, we're going to see some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Because we already got one guy in China making AIDS less preventable. Good thing, right? Went against people's backs, kind of did a positive thing. But what happens when you get, like, I don't know. I got to say a Russian. I don't think they have the fucking money to do it. But, like, a private American company, or British or whatever, Japanese maybe, or South Korean company that wants to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden now we have to deal with, I don't know, a synthetic hawk that fucking kills all rodents. And now there's like a problem with nature or something. I don't know. Something crazy like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
A bird would be terrible, by the way. A synthetic bird would kick ass. Because it would overeat.
Exactly. Crazy. Like that's where it gets complicated, because if they were to just start creating their own species and created one specifically designed to kill, then there's going to be problems. Because, of course, at some point, there's always going to be a point where you look at the business side of things and somebody's going to ask, hey, what might farmers want in to protect their produce from unwanted vermin? And it's like, oh, we could create an animal that specifically does the job of killing, so we don't have to use pesticides and stuff. So do it out of the thought of something good, but then in turn create something that once it's released into the wild becomes a problem. Because we already see it with just the common house cat. That the house cat has decimated.
Big.
They have decimated ecosystems simply just by being themselves. That they are such effective hunters that literally they have one of the highest kill ratios out of any species of animal. The only animal that is above the house cat in terms of their kill percentage is another cat, but it's a wild cat.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure house cats are like the second highest kill percentage.
Another count. Okay, so going back to my previous idea with the whole gorillas, like learning from past generations, like once they were in captivity and then moved past on, the twin dogs, right, and their little sister do not have a matriarch. You think about that? Like, you know how like humans deal with like mother issues, right? With an absence of a mother or a father. I would assume it's the same deal with other species. So think about it like that: synthetic animals not having a proper mother figure. I would think that have some like major issues.
Yeah, I think so. I think that has to be a problem.
Yeah. Like, and you know what? Going into the farming question you just had too, it would be cool, right? Unless, and maybe this would be kind of fucked up, is like maybe if they did make like hawks, right, that ended up doing that for them. Like the only like idea would to circumvent them is they have extremely short lifespans, at least relative
Yeah,
to hawks or something, where
that
they'd only live for like a year or two.
that would make sense. So I just looked at a list and it says the domestic house cat is actually the 5th highest kill percentage. So they have 32% successful kills.
That's god damn.
Number
What's the KD on that?
number 4 is the leopard at 38%. Number 3 is the cheetah at 58%. Number 2 is the black-footed cat at 60%.
Okay, are these just is this just a cat list, or are all the top predators all cats?
It's all cats. Can you guess what the number 1 most successful apex predator is?
Other than us, because we ended up farming everything. I'm gonna say like it's an ant or some type of species of insect.
The number 1 is the African wild dog with an 85% successful kill rate.
Yeah, okay, that one I should have known, because don't they run in packs of like fucking like 50 and they just maul everything? There's no strategy, it's just numbers.
I think that is why they have such a high percentage of success, is they just have one of the greatest hunting units in nature.
How are we going to solve this issue of getting food? We're just going to make a whole bunch of babies and then use the babies for war.
Because number 7 on this list is actually the wolf with 14%.
I would figure that would be way higher, but since we destroyed all wolves, they're like lower on the list. That's kind of, you see how most of those are mostly pack hunters?
Yeah, but I mean that's
crazy.
It's still crazy that like the domestic house cat has such a high kill percent.
That's crazy. It's insane that there will be species of animal in space with us. Like, think about that. Like, I do think
It'll probably be the cat.
It will be the cat and the dog.
They will go.
Dude, it's gonna be crazy that there's gonna be some species of animal that got so good with us, that teamed with us, that their lineage will go to space. That dog who decided to hunt with that human might be the single greatest fucking animal ever to exist.
I don't know.
Just think about that.
The cat might have actually been more impressive than the dog, because they didn't even have to get domesticated to do it.
Yeah, they also have that whole gene or virus thing of like everybody likes them.
Like,
I don't know if it's
they literally just vibed hard enough to get on the list. Like, dogs actually had to be useful, where cats just had to be there.
Well, they were kind of useful. I think they've always been
they were useful
for rodents.
Yeah,
they were just always there. They weren't like they're like dogs.
But like it is like one of those things where it's just like, all right, I guess we homies now.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
Like,
and then birds, like parrots and stuff, will probably be like third.
Parrots are. I think that's just because they're intelligence.
You know what's crazy? Fish will never be able to leave this planet.
That is crazy.
That's wild that land-based animals will always kind of be able to go further. It's weird.
I guess that's just
I would think like
part of it.
The zero gravity would fuck with them.
Well, eventually they'll just create a new species of animal as they adapt to their new environment.
Dude, it's a crazy time, because you really think about it, and like this is gonna have some like major like consequences down the line. Like we're the first. Like I know Dolly was a thing that was in my lifetime, but this is like something more than that. It's not like we were able to like impregnate a sheep without a male, right? It was one of those things where we cloned it. But it's like this is a whole new thing. We can just make not designer animals, but like eventually that will be the point.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
we've
I
also
mean,
cloned dogs too. That's the thing too. But like this is like it's one step above that.
I mean that's basically what I was getting at earlier is that like farmers will at some point create a market to want to like make a perfectly designed, let's just say, cat that
Mm-hmm.
they bring up that kill percent to be they have 100% kill success. That anytime they desire to kill, they can kill.
It's wild times we're in. I guess
It
that
is.
really goes for the news. I don't really have anything past that. I thought Arkvelds just being in existence were
You
crazy.
could make an Arkveld.
Yeah.
They could make something like that. It is very. They could actually make the Guardians. Make an animal that is incapable of breeding, doesn't need to eat other than like some sort of goop that you inject into it.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy times.
Dude, oh my god, could you synthesize cattle? Could you?
Well, that you can. There wouldn't be a need for it because they already made it so you can synthesize meat.
That is true. Unless like it's like synthesized cattle is better than synthesized meat. I don't know. Maybe the whole growing process of the animal.
Maybe for dairy that would be good.
That would be crazy to be able to just make dairy cows that have never like seen Earth.
That is true.
Space travel just literally became so fucking easy. We're literally just like one decent spaceship away from just being Star Wars. That's wild.
It is.
It's really wild.
So I didn't really have a plan for this episode.
I figured.
I honestly didn't really think much about the podcast or the channel at all this week.
Goddamn.
Like, man, did this week just kind of fly by? But
it did.
But I did think of this that we can kind of talk about because I the last extra video I did was, or I guess, but as we're recording, the last extra video I did was I did the review on the Minecraft movie.
Ah,
dumb movie, by the way, for anybody curious.
Flint and Steel,
the Nether.
The Nether.
Chicken Jackie.
My clothes pile.
The clothes pile. But while I was recording that, I started talking about like how I was coming up with my rating of the movie. And it came to my attention that I never actually explained how I rate movies.
You just don't go off of vibes. That's how I've always done it.
Well, like it is mostly vibes, but like when I give a score of something, like I just felt like I wanted to kind of explain what those scores meant.
Okay.
So when you think of a mid movie, what would you give a mid movie a ranking of?
Like a 5.
A 5? Okay, so we have the same mindset towards that.
I'm not one of those weirder guys that go, if it's mid, it's like a 3. I'm like, that's not how that works. That's not how that word should be used for.
So like,
unless you want to say middle,
a 50% should be like a movie that you look at and you feel neither terrible for watching nor have any extreme positive emotions towards. It's just like mediocre. It's just like, I watched it. I guess that was sure a movie.
The movie situation is crazy. And then it's just fucking Charlie talking about the most like boring movie ever.
This movie, I can't believe that I'm trying to make up a scenario, but the only one I can think of is that one stupid musical movie that came out that almost won an Oscar. Or did it actually win an Oscar?
I think it might have. He might have been complaining it on stream.
Because I know it was nominated. I don't remember what the movie was called. I just know, like, every person who watched it agreed it was bad. But somehow it was Oscar nominated.
How the hell does that? The Oscars are a bunch of bullshit.
It really is.
100%.
Trust Caleb critiques. I will tell you, if I give it a movie praise, that movie is deserving of praise.
I can agree to that. I think your movie takes are pretty good.
I think I genuinely have not had I've not had anybody disagree with the take I've had on a movie so far.
Not to my knowledge. Okay, yeah.
So I guess for an example, when I gave the Minecraft movie, I gave that a 6 out of 10.
Okay. So you slightly enjoyed it?
It was slightly enjoyable. I did have a few laughs, but like it's not something like that I thought was incredibly like thrilling to watch.
Yeah,
but it wasn't painful to watch either. Okay. So it didn't make me upset that I watched the movie.
It was a Jack Black movie. That's what you're trying to say.
It was a Jack Black movie. And definitely, like I said in the video, he was the best part of that movie. So that earned itself like a 6 out of 10. It was a solid 6. It was enjoyable. Not something I'd want to watch again, but enjoyable.
So a 7 and above is watch again material.
A 7 would constitute me watching that movie multiple times.
Okay.
It's always hard. I have to like rewatch a few movies because I know I've watched movies in the past that were 7s out of 10s, but I ranked them higher just because I had such an enjoyment out of watching it. I think that's the thing when it comes to like coming up with an opinion on a movie is a lot of the time you do have to actually watch the movie twice to know your like a solid opinion.
You gotta sometimes when you're reading a manga, you gotta reread the panel to make sure you read it right.
Yeah.
Like, did it say that? Oh, it should have said that.
Because like let's use the Infinity War versus Endgame argument as an example. Mm-hmm. I've watched Infinity War multiple times, and every time I go, dang, that is a really good movie. And I will always stick to saying that movie is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, easily.
But
I would agree to that.
Endgame gets a little more complicated because it's like, it's really good, but there's just some stuff that's not, they don't do as good as Endgame or as Infinity War.
Okay, hold on. Sidetracking. What don't you like about it? Because personally, with me, I like Endgame more.
Really?
I like the conclusion.
I think it concludes good, but like, I don't know. It's a lot of like the character team ups at the end, like before the climax feels like it was very like rushed to show as many characters as possible. Whereas like the character bonds in Infinity War felt more natural.
You know, maybe this is just my anime fan. Maybe this is where people can roast me, but I am a sucker for hype moments.
It's a hype move. It's a hype moment, but like
I threw all the we gotta put these two characters together because it makes fuck that shit. Get T'Challa and that random motherfucker in that movie and put them together.
But like,
screw it.
I just feel like that we like didn't get like as witty of dialogue during that point that we got in like Infinity War.
Hold on, I have that. Okay, circumvent that again. Gotta use my pointing stick, my duster.
No.
Do you like that cheesy ass Marvel? I won't lie. I like the cheesy ass Marvel dialogue.
I think the cheese is good sometimes when it's written witty, it's good. But when it's just cheese just to be cheese, sometimes it can be like, like it's not bad. I agree with that. Never bad, but it's just kind of like I can see where people get tired of it.
Yeah.
So like, and I feel like it was more of that like ultra cheese when it came to the final battle in Endgame, rather than just like the wit that they had in Infinity War. But and I guess overall, like the pacing of Endgame is just, I know it's supposed to be slower, but like it just feels too slow at times.
Man, you saying all this right now, and I just want to go back and enjoy it. Like
It's good. I still enjoy it. It's not a bad movie by any means.
It's like a 9, like at bare minimum with me, it's like a 9 out of 10.
I think that's what I'd stand on giving it now, is probably like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
But like, it's so close though that I still might consider it a 10. But like, it's just
at that point,
it's just not as good as Infinity War.
So maybe this is the question I should ask you. So at that point, are you just trying to compare it to Infinity War to find the problems? Because I just view it as one. Because I mean,
if you do, I think there is still problems viewing it separate, like as its own entity. So you like, and to be fair, it is the continuation of Infinity War, so you do kind of have to look at it through that lens. But like, it's like I said, you could at least give it a 9. I'd be willing to drop it down to a 9, but it is probably still a 10 out of 10 movie. It's just, it's like one of those things where you can put it in the category of 10 out of 10, but when you like start picking it apart, I think it is not as good of a 10 out of 10 as Infinity War, which doesn't make sense because a 10 out of 10 would constitute a perfect. About any art, there's no such thing as perfect. So once you get to something like that where you're comparing 10s out of 10s, it's really just up to preference. And I think for my preference, I think Infinity War is the better movie.
Fair enough. I don't view 10 out of 10s as perfect. I view 10s out of 10s as masterpieces because there always will be something to critique. There always will be an error or something. So like 10 out of 10s for me are masterpieces. Like for Steel Ball Run, which coming out, as the time of recording this, the live streams and stuff will be out this weekend. But SH Figure Arts, the guys that make most anime figures, or for relevant anime figures, just came out and said, we're making JoJo figures. And any person who knows SH Figure Arts is like, oh, so we're getting Steel Ball Run, because you guys aren't just you're not going to just all of a sudden make the last. We're just going to make the JoJo figures of the last like 6 parts just right now out of the fucking blue. That's not how that works. So like, it's probably coming this Sunday. And while I like, I don't know why I went into that tangent, but while I like Steel Ball Run, I do think it has its problems. But I think
still think it's a masterpiece.
It is a masterpiece. That Rocky went to making monthly manga, and his potential skyrocketed indefinitely. It's crazy. So it's just like, I can complain at some parts while some ideas are not totally executed correctly. How they stick and land, in my opinion, are good enough to label it a masterpiece.
Gotcha.
I guess maybe a step above that, like this is like crazy big brain stuff, is like, oh my god, I say a magnum opus is greater than a masterpiece. They kind of mean the same thing, but when you start using fucking Latin to describe somebody's art,
you got something good.
I would describe Steel Ball Run in that category. I really like Steel Ball Run. I would describe it as a magnum opus. That's like a hypothetical 11 out of 10 or whatever. But that's just a personal thing for me. There's a very, very few things that do that. Like a magnum opus for me would be Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, because it's like it made westerns. That whole trilogy is a magnum opus.
That movie, I think that The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is the only one out of that trilogy I have seen. But I can definitely say that is a 10 out of 10 movie.
Yeah.
Like
when your movie makes
time.
trends. Yeah. When your movie makes trends or makes a genre, you're a magnum opus.
That's
I don't
true.
care what you're saying. You can make some really like stupid arguments like no. Directors, people of upbringing use it as examples. When it's taught in theaters, or not taught in theaters, taught in classrooms, just stop yapping. Like you're not gonna win over that. Because it's like people use it for examples.
So
it's like
would you say that Edward Scissorhands is a masterpiece?
I wouldn't say Edward Scissorhands, but I'd say fucking Nightmare Before Christmas is. I love Nightmare Before Christmas.
That is a masterpiece of a holiday movie. But Edward Scissorhands is often taught in classrooms. So
I would say yeah. I would say therefore yeah.
That makes it a masterpiece.
My mom you know what? Yes, I'm gonna double down on that. You know why? Because both my aunt and my mom quote that movie more than they realistically should. So you know what?
Crazy.
Since it's left such a oh my god, I'm blurry. Such a impact on them, I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes to it.
From what you remember, would you say the Great Gatsby movie is a masterpiece?
I really do like Tobey Maguire in that movie.
That movie, I've honestly watched multiple times since we've watched it in Bigwood's class. I think it's really good. Would I say it's a masterpiece, though? I don't think so. But it is very good.
I would say it's up there, in my personal opinion.
I think I'll give that one a 9 out of 10. I think it is a very good movie, but it does have some flaws.
Yeah.
And I think for me, most of those flaws come from the soundtrack.
Soundtracks make up most of your movies.
I think
most of the attention.
Like the movie is very good plot-wise, and the way I need to read the book to really have like a good comparison. But like looking at everything, very good. But the soundtrack throws me out of the.
What was the soundtrack like?
It's just like 2012 radio music that's made to sound like it's from the 1920s.
Hold on.
Like it's just it takes me out of the experience. And I hate to say it because I really do enjoy that movie. But just that the soundtrack does not do it for me.
Oh my god, okay, maybe you are right. I'm looking it up. Why the fuck is Jay-Z here?
It's so weird.
Lana Del Rey's in this?
Because most movies that are based in a time period, their soundtrack will be to make it sound like they're in that time period. So there's nothing that takes you out of that experience to make you like basically become one with that environment. But every time music starts playing, I get taken out of the environment that they're setting up.
Why is will.i.am in this?
It's so jarring.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's to appeal to modern audiences, but I would have to say yeah.
I think it was a sign of the times for sure of when it was made, but it really prevented like me.
I just found a comment saying I hope the music is like this in the 2020s. I'm in 2025. It doesn't. Not no more, bro.
Man, we don't even know if it's real people making music anymore.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's very easy to decipher like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. Like making the decisions to rate a movie from like 10, 8, 9, I think is a lot easier then once you start dipping below 5, because I think for me it's easier to like.
It is harder to find a 1 out of 10 than a 10 out of 10.
That is true. That is true.
Prove me wrong.
I think it's easier to find things to like about a movie than to like fully hate a movie, right? Like,
Mhm.
I can say, because like even with a 5 out of 10, it's so hard to like find, like sometimes it's just aggressively like bland that it feels like you hate the movie, but in reality it's just like a boring movie. Doesn't make it like a 1 out of 10. But like once you get those 1s out of 10s, they bad.
I think the only movies that really do count as a 1 out of 10 are like, as long as there's effort into a movie, I don't think it can be a 1 out of 10. I think if that's a 2 or a higher. A 1 out of 10 is like a movie that has virtually no substance. Like none at all. Is what I would say. Because even like one of those, I forgot what fucking network does it, like Sci-Fi tries to make like copy movies where they name something Transformers, but it's not Transformers. So it's a whole different, its own concept. So if you just view the movie in a vacuum, it's like, this is okay. It's like a 3 or something, right? So that's what I would say. But I think all movies at some degree are like at least a 2 or higher. A 1 out of 10.
That's where it gets
a unicorn.
That's where it gets complicated though, because it's like sometimes there's like movies that you can like, the artist had a vision, like the director had a vision, but the vision is so poorly executed that I would have to argue that that movie is a 1 out of 10. Taken for instance, A Ghost Story. That is a movie that is so aggressively not only boring to watch, but also like it doesn't feel like the director themselves knew what their own plot was supposed to be.
I'll tell you this. If a movie feels like if it was originally supposed to be a tax write-off and it still made it to theaters, it's probably a 1 out of 10.
Yeah. That is definitely true.
It had a budget. Okay, no wonder the fucking movie is like this. It had only a budget of $100,000.
But I mean, look at what Godzilla -1 was able to do with their budget.
I think they had more than $100,000.
Oh, yes,
they at least
that's true.
They probably had a million.
My brain didn't register that you said 1,000.
Yeah.
Why is my camera not focused?
Caleb.
Anyway.
Work camera.
Camera, no. I think it's my light.
Probably.
Come here. Come here. Come here.
Even the fucking poster looks ass.
It's such a aggressively bad movie.
Yeah, it's like a 3.4 on like IMDb.
And I think it's a 1. I think that is a movie that is deserving of a 1 out of 10.
Gee, there's more people saying this shit's a 5 out of 5.
That's wild.
That's crazy. It has the most 5 out of 5s, but its second most is 1 out of 10. So there's people that do agree with you that it is ass.
It's not good.
Yeah.
But like, and then you get like those B movies, right? Like me and Colby watched this one called Piranha, and it is objectively a very bad movie. It is not a good movie. It is so Piranha.
That sounds like a sci-fi movie.
It's
like from the fucking
was
network.
So bad and so dumb. But that's one that it's like hard to judge where within that 1 out of 10 to 4 out of 10 scale where that should be. Because it's like, it's bad, but you found enjoyment from it being bad. But does that make it so bad that it's a 1? Or did the director intend for you to have those emotions, which would then make it like a 4 out of 10?
I would say if a story loops back around, like it's so bad it eventually is good, then I would say it would be good. But if it's bad but doesn't go full circle, then it's bad.
But like then
But
again,
it's just bad.
you could. The argument is still like a movie can be so terrible that you find comedy in its awfulness.
I'll do like this. I'll put this in a box. So that idea you just presented,
Mhm.
if it has to go in that category where it's like it's so bad that you have to make fun of it and then cope with it that you fucking spent your money on it, then it's bad.
That
It's
is
still
probably
bad.
a 1 out of 10.
Yes.
So Piranhaconda might be a 1 out of 10.
Yes. At least maybe a 2.
Maybe a 2.
Yeah.
Because
So there you go. I answered that. If you have to loop, it's bad.
see that because that's where it's always hard. Because it's like I want to instinctively give these bad movies 1s or 2s, but then it's like, then what's the point of having a 3 and 4 on the scale if it's never used? Because it can't go just from a mid movie to just being garbage. There has to be some sort of leeway there.
That's what I would say, because maybe I think that's just the human cope. It's like, oh my god, I'm wasting my time here. So I have to be like, it was okay.
It's all right.
I've seen some 3 and 4s before.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of those.
Yeah. That's right below mediocre. That's where most, I think, 3s and 4s were reserved for like indie films. For the
Yeah,
most part.
except
That's what I would say.
this is the one opinion I think we'll always disagree on. Is I still think Skinamarink is a 1 out of 10.
Oh, I just like the concept. The movie was okay. That was okay.
It's just if a movie makes me have to watch it at 2 times speed to enjoy it, that's not a good sign.
No, fair enough. Yeah.
Like that's a sign that your movie should only have been 15 minutes long.
Yeah, I think most concepts for movies should be like horror movies should just be like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
You don't need a feature length film.
I think that's why a lot of horror movies come out bad, because they just drag on their concept too long. Like here's one example. We're getting short on time, so I'll give this and then we'll start giving final takes. But we were looking at the top horror movies of all time. And one of the top rated horror movies of all time was the Babadook movie from 2014, I think. So I was like, they say this is one of the scariest movies. And I watched it. And let me tell you, the Babadook gives you such good setup as the movie goes on. But the climax of the movie is so jarring, and it ends so dumb that it took what could have been an 8 out of 10 in my mind straight down to probably like a 3. Simply because it seemed like the director didn't know how to end the movie.
That happens.
Plus, I think the movie was also told from the wrong perspective.
Should have been from the kids.
It should have been from the child's perspective.
Child's horror is better.
Because
Always better.
the mom, like, you had all the answers as to what was going on from the mom's perspective. But like, if you watch from the child's perspective, the child would only have slight ideas of what's going on. Plus, you would get to not trust any other characters surrounding that child, putting that child in a dangerous situation, which would then heighten the horror for the audience to be like, this child is not in a good place. Something's not right.
You kicked the puppy.
You kicked the puppy.
Exactly. Yeah, I think sometimes with horror, I think if at that point that's just an action movie. If you're giving answers, it's just like that's a thriller, right? I would count that as a thriller.
I think a lot of horror movies probably try too hard and become thrillers at that point.
Yeah.
So
a horror movie should only be like an hour.
Yeah, there's no need for them to be long. Plus, I do stand by the take that video games are the proper use of horror in any genre.
Just fucking play the first mission with the flood in Halo. Feel it. My girlfriend
Play
terrifying.
Silent Hill, man. Silent Hill is so... They get the vibe of horror so good in Silent Hill 2. It's insane.
The moment you take control, shit changes.
It's true.
When you're not the passenger looking at somebody, it's a different feeling. Way different feeling.
It is very true. I think that's the end of the episode.
There we go. Good talk.
Good talks. Genetic hybrids. Caleb
And
critiques getting defined as to why I might rate a certain movie in a certain spot.
Mm-hmm.
Real? Yeah. You got any final comments?
I beg Steel Ball Run comes out comes out soon. I
What-
fucking need it.
When are you supposed to get when is that supposed to get like a release date?
So we don't know. Okay. All I can tell you right now, right? Because I have no one to yap this to about. Because you could technically, right now, I know you skipped part 5 and 6. You have nothing. You could technically watch 7. You don't need to watch 5 and 6. You don't need
Yeah.
So you can watch it. And I actually recommend it. Rocky, I can bring a fucking quote to you. I know where it is. I can go on the wiki and find it. Where Rocky's like, for anybody who didn't want to watch the first 6 or read the first 6, you can just jump into 7. But what we know right now is there is too much marketing for it not to have a reveal. So the idea here would be that they will release it, or not release it. They're going to give us a teaser on technically, okay, well, it's 12. So technically it'll be for me, technically, right? It would be 11. It will be Friday at 2:00 in the morning, but that's basically Saturday at 2:00 in the morning for it, and so on later in that live stream. They will probably give us a teaser for another event they'll have for like later sometime this year. So more likely than not, Steel Ball Run will probably be out. Cross fingers here, late 2025 or sometime in early 2026.
All right.
So that's the general area. And plus they were supposed to release Fire Force. I think that's coming out soon-ish. But this is a major studio that has had a lot of time to do things. My only hope right now is I'm fairly confident that Steel Ball Run will come out or be teased or released. But my thing is it kind of depends on my future almost as a content creator. Is if it's not weekly, I'm gonna go find a second job at that point, because it's like I can't do batch releases. Like I can't just force content out. People need hype to watch content. It's how it works. So I hope that in this teaser it will be premiering weekly on Netflix, probably, for I would guess. In sometime in 2026. So stay tuned for the next announcement we give, or event we give. That's all I'm praying for. That's my biggest hope, because if not that, we'll end up seeing where my life goes. I love making content on YouTube, but forcing shit into existence is difficult.
That sucks.
It does. It really does. Stone Ocean. I will always have beef with Stone Ocean anime. Like, I don't think I'll ever have beef with anything really in my life. Well, okay, I take that back. I do have beef with somebody. But like in specific with something that didn't go my way, it would be part 6. Part 6 should have been weekly. It really should have been. And like I'm now envious of my other JoJo friends who were able to experience the first like 5 parts weekly. Because it's like I saw their success in what they did. It's like, fuck, man. So I'm really hoping with part 7, I get my way, and I'm like, I can experience what it actually is like to be a proper like anime YouTuber. Because that's one thing I can say with full confidence. I've never had a proper like anime run. I've always had crumbs. It's kind of crazy. Because I've only had batch releases and maybe like TikTok trends to go off of my channel. I haven't been like my friend Ronan, who's had all of JJK to farm off like that content. I have never had that. And it would be almost, maybe I'm preying on it too much, but it would almost be like super, super special, where it'd be like, this anime is weekly, and new fans can come and enjoy it without watching the first 6 parts. It's like a rebirth of the franchise, right? To make errors wrong some rights, right? So it would hold a lot of weight to me, at least like spiritually for me. So that's what I'm hoping for this weekend. So we'll see. We'll come into next week with next week's podcast to see, you know, or at least when we record to see. Whoa, Alex, how's the job market?
And next week we'll know. So I guess look
Next
forward to
week we'll
that.
know.
And
Yeah, what?
I guess I don't know. I guess I'll have other content coming out as well. It'll be a surprise. Probably not, because you'll already have seen some of it by the time this is out. So anyway,
Real.
see you guys next time. Peace out.